Hi, my name is Alexis Bruno, and I'm a clinical research assistant within Children's Hospital of Philadelphia's Center for Violence Prevention. Thank you for joining us today. We are excited to share some of what we know about helping children handle peer conflict. Here is a summary of what we will cover today. Today we will define bullying, look at the differences between bullying and conflict, describe the different types of conflicts, explain ways to notice how your child is feeling, how to help your child when they are having conflicts with peers, discussing what your child may need during difficult situations, ways to keep lines of communication open between you and your child, and lastly, key takeaways. Define bullying. Before we discuss how to help your child with the peer conflict, let's first discuss what bullying is. Bullying is an intentional aggressive behavior directed at another child. There is usually a power imbalance, and it happens repeatedly. Sometimes when something happens once, we call it bullying, but when it happens only one time, we do not call it bullying, we call it a conflict. Conflicts versus bullying. Conflict is the mean behavior that comes out of a disagreement or misunderstanding. It happens once every so often. It is part of everyday life and is not pre-planned. It can be used as an effort to solve a problem and serve as a teachable moment. Bullying is a mean behavior, as we discussed earlier, and is repeatedly done on purpose, related to dominance or status, and an imbalance of power. The bully is usually trying to take control over the victim and may show enjoyment in the act. And there are different types of conflicts that can happen between children. Types of conflicts. The conflicts that usually happen between children are physical, verbal, social, or cyber. Physical conflicts include hitting, kicking, pushing, or threatening another child. Usually it has a beginning and an end, and more boys than girls use this form of aggression. Verbal conflicts include using insults or mean words to another child, are said face to face, has a beginning and an end, and is common between both boys and girls. Social conflicts include spreading rumors about someone, excluding or leaving someone out on purpose. It can be ongoing. It is harder to identify by parents and school staff, and is more common to happen between girls than boys. Cyber conflicts are social aggressions that are carried out via text or online. It is aimed at hurting other kids' feelings, friendships, or reputations via cell phone, computer, or video game. Now that we have discussed the differences between bullying and conflicts, let's take a look at a case example of two students, Tyron and James. Tyron accidentally bumps into James while they are standing in line. James says, "Watch where you're going, stupid." Tyron ignores him. Then, as Tyron is walking back to his seat, James trips him and says, "I told you to watch where you're going." Tyron gets in James' face and says, "You got a problem?" "Yeah, you," James says and pushes him. They start to fight. Ask yourself, is this an example of bullying or just conflict? And why is it bullying or why is it conflict? This is just a conflict. The reason it's a conflict is because, to our knowledge, this is the first time this has happened, and when it is bullying, it is done repeatedly. What if your child is often involved in peer conflict? Here are a few things you can do as parents. Are they sad, irritable, or angry? Did you notice any changes in eating or sleeping patterns? Any headaches and stomach aches? Do they seem like they are avoiding school or have declining grades? Do they often complain about peers or lunch and/or recess? These are signs that your child may be involved in or was involved in a peer conflict at school. Noticing how your child is feeling is helpful for them in working with them through peer conflicts. You or who your child looks to for everything, especially when something's happening to them at school. To help your child when they are involved in a conflict at school with a peer, you can start by listening to your child, asking them what happened and not interrupting, by validating their feelings, letting them know that their feelings are okay to have, offering love and support to them, for example, saying, I care about you and will help you figure this out. And lastly, when the time is right, you can correct them or teach them some strategies that you know works for you. Mentally, we need to separate feelings from behavior. While their behavior may have been bad, their feelings are their own. Those are not bad. What does your child need? To help you in this, start by observing your child with siblings, friends, and classmates. What are your child's most common causes of conflict? Try to build your child's coping skills based on the patterns you notice. Ask yourself, when and why does my child get into conflicts? To keep the lines of communication open with your child, it is helpful to be a good listener, be non-judgmental, and understand your child's social and school experiences. Examples of each of these could include talking with your child about their friends and what school is like for them, talking about how was their day at school, what went well, what did not go well. Then tell them about your day. Ask periodically whether they have seen any gossip or mean behavior through text or social media. We talked about a lot today, and we thank you for your time and engagement for this workshop. Before we go, here are a few key takeaways. Fighting is a strategy which sometimes works short term, but can and usually does escalate over time. Building relationships with teachers and administrators and even your children's friends supports a problem-solving approach. Getting a head start on building these relationships before something happens is the best prevention. I want to thank you all for attending today's workshop, and I hope that you have gained some new insight for how to handle stress. Have a great day. And for additional information about Friend to Friend or to access more bullying prevention resources, you can visit violence.chop.edu.